from there on, well, what was I going to do? I don't know. But everybody had to be something. My dad decided, well, why don't you be a carpenter? Oh, what did I know? I know a carpenter or what it was, and he was working with wood and tools, and that's all I know. I think the reason for that is an uncle of mine and brother of my mother, Ome Dirk, was a carpenter. So here John went, you're going to be a carpenter. So I went to carpenter school for 2 years, and I remember those years pretty well. First of all, the handling of tools, how to avoid cutting your finger off or something. One thing which is way different with the education nowadays is that there were no electrical tools or machinery. And it was all handwork. And that education was very interesting. You learn to make little things like foot benches, windows, little windows, big windows, jambs for windows and all that stuff. So that's all I remember about my carpenter school. From there on, after 2 years, I was 15 years old. Quite a big man, I thought. I went working for a little outfit which had his workshop in kind of a basement somewhere. You had to go into a door, bend your head, and that was it. That year I can remember pretty good because that was my first education as a working man. But much education I didn't get. That man was more interested in letting me do the heavy work. I remember when I was working there for about 6 or 7 months, he sent me with a push cart loaded with wheelbarrow and shovels and all that to a place in Amsterdam on the harbor, which was a walk from about more than an hour. Pushed the cart and went there. And what I had to do there, I don't know, but there was an old man, and I think he was about 70 or 80 years old. He was a bricklayer and cement worker. There was a big pile of gravel and sand and some cement and all that. Well, I thought it was it, and I thought I had to go back. I was just good enough to deliver the tools. No, he said, you're going to stay here. And here I was, 15 years old. Mixing concrete by hand, all by myself. I never forget that. It was really heavy work. Measure the gravel, so many shovels and so many shovels of sand and so much cement, water, and mix it and mix it and mix it. That I was tired like hell, and around 4 o'clock, well, he said that's enough for today. Well, I would thought so. And I had to go back and make the same trip back again, more than an hour, to bring the cart back and some other stuff. On the way down, I was passing approximately the place I was living in the Jacob van Kamperstraat. And stopped there, put my car down and went upstairs, 3 stairs up. And here I was crying like a little boy. And my mother didn't know what was going on, so she asked me, she said, what happened? Well, I told her that I couldn't stand it anyway. I was so tired and so sore. And Well, she was quite upset herself because I had to do that heavy work. But nothing was said anymore, and I just had to bring that card back, and next day was the same deal. And I kept it up for a couple of days until it was finished on a whole concrete floor. We poured them in about 3 or 4 days. And here was little John, 15 years old, mixing all the concrete for that. That's the thing what shows in your mind, you know, about labor, which is just terrible. Now I think about it. But that thing happened, and another way, you know, it's an experience, so you know a little bit what hard work is. But I'm not very much interested in that kind of heavy work. It was a year when I was there approximately 10 or 11 months. The man told me, he said, "You're no good for a carpenter." He said, "You better look for something else unless you want to be a laborer or do labor work." So I wasn't interested in that kind of labor work. So I went home and told my dad, and he didn't know what was going on. And as parents were at that time, he went right away to that man and asked him what was wrong and so. And he told the son of a bitch, he told my dad that I was too lazy to work. Well, here was I, 15 years old, too lazy to work. And what could I say? My dad came home very disappointed and just gave me hell that I was lazy and I was standing in bed too long and all that stuff, you know how. But anyway, I kept on suffering by that outfit. And what could I do? I didn't know where to go. But my dad was working at that time. He was a policeman in Amsterdam. He was working, located in a special community, which we call the Jodenhoek, which translated means Jewish community. They were all Jews, you know, all poor people. And in that neighborhood was an Italian outfit by the name of Vitali. Schoorsteenvegers, which meant chimney sweeps. My father went to that guy and asked him if he had some work for me. Well, I didn't know, but one of his brothers was kind of a contractor. And he said, "You better talk with him." That was Johan Vitali. So my father went to him, and they know each other, you know, in the neighborhood. At that time, policemen were always known by everybody. And asked him if he could use a carpenter, a leerling, or an apprentice. Well, I said, "Not at the moment, but if anything comes, I'll let you know." So I went on suffering, and a couple of weeks later, my dad came home. He said, "We're going tonight to Mr. Vitali, the contractor, and see what we can do." So I went there, and the man was a real Italian type. If he was looking at you, it was like there was fire coming out of his eyes. The look of him so strong, you know, that I was kind of scared of him. And he talked with me and he said, "What do you know, what can you do?" And I told him what I did and what I had done by that other outfit. And I said, "I'll take you on." He said, "If I like you, I'll keep you. If I don't like you, I'll just kick you out. That's all." So here I was, 15 years old, and what are you going to do? I guess by that time I was 16. So I went working for him. First day, on a Monday, in the morning, he came to me and he said, "Well, here is a little thingy what you hopefully can make, and take a crack at it." It was what we call a vent hood above a stove or a range. He asked me, "What money do you expect I pay you?" "Well, I don't know. But the only indication I can give you is that the man where I was working paid me for the heavy work I did $3.50, 3 guilders and 50 cents. But I told him that was because I did heavy work and he paid me what he said a little bit more than normal. He looked at me and he said, "Is he crazy?" He said, "What kind of a man is that?" I said, "Oh, I don't know. I said, "Anyway, we don't care about what happened. What happened is done." I said, "I looked over your work and, well, this and that is a little bit wrong, but you're starting. It's all right," he said. "What if I pay you 8 guilders for a week?" Well, it shocked me at the moment. 8 guilders, more than twice as much as I was making. I said, "Well, I'll try it with you. If you keep up that work, you will be all right." I said, "But there is only one thing. You haven't got any tools, and you should have a tool chest. And to help you around," I said, "for 10 weeks to start with, I'll pay you every week above your $8 or 8 guilders, an extra $1, but you have to promise me that you're going to buy tools for that." Well, I was kind of surprised, you know, and very happy. I went home and laid my money on the table, and my parents were alright too. I was very happy, and we went right away to a hardware store with the name of Jacobs. That was a special hardware store who was selling only locks and all that kind of hardware, house hardware and tools. And we bought one sisal, 1 inch wide sisal for less than one guilder. But don't forget that the money value is way different than it is nowadays. So don't be surprised by a sisal for less than 1 guilder. I worked for that man and was in the education of maintenance work in housing. That was in maintenance was meant repairing things, windows, doors, and whatever, cutting holes in the floor, repair floors, renew things, all kinds of work. I mean, what was concerned with housing. I worked for that outfit until I was 20 years old.